Hello everyone, welcome to Vipin Technologies. Myself Vipin. So today we are going to discuss about views in MVC 5. What exactly views are meant for in MVC, right? So today objective of this topic is that what is view, how to add a view in our MVC application, and why this view is required in our MVC application, and how we can call view from the browser, and how the controller comes to know that it has to go to that particular view. So we can see how controller finds a view and how to return view from controller. So let's start with what is a view. So a view is a nothing. View is a user interface which end user see on his machine, that is on browser, right? And view is the main pillar of MVC, that stands for view. And Vue is a combination of both C Sharp and HTML language. Whenever we are going to add a view in our application, the extension of Vue is .cshtml. That means we can write both C Sharp code also and plus HTML code also, right? And Vue supports pure HTML language. We can write pure HTML. Now let's move on that why view is required in our MVC application. So the main reason is that to make your application more interactive so that end user can have a feel of user friendly on its screen, right? And it's very easy to use. And along with the HTML, as I said that it supports pure HTML language. Along with this, it also supports for other client-side framework like AngularJS, Knockout, JavaScripting, jQuery, or any other third-party client-side framework. It also supports, right? And the main thing that we can take inputs from the user. Let's suppose we want to take some inputs from the user and we want to save in our database. So in that case, we go for the views which are being created in our MVC application. Now let's see how to add a new view, right? So views are added for each and every action method. So in our last video, if you remember, we have discussed about the controllers. And in the controllers, we can have multiple action methods. So corresponding to that, each and every action method, views are added for each and every action method, right? And we can add this by using Solution Explorer in the Visual Studio, right? So let's flip to the Visual Studio without wasting any time. So let's create a new application. So the same steps which we performed in our last video. So we'll create a new project and it will open a new window and we will select ASP.NET Web Application, and remember that we have to choose the latest .NET framework, right? So as of according to my machine, I have taken .NET Framework 4.6.1. We can give the meaningful name. So as of now, I'm taking a default and let's create. Now it will ask the template, so we'll go for the empty as we are going to learn about views from the scratch. So let's choose empty and select MVC checkbox so that it can add all the DLL files and all the core references for this MVC application, right? And then click on OK button. So it will create a default structure for the MVC application for us. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. So it is loading all the required DLLs and all the files which is being needed in the MVC application. And now we can click on the Solution Explorer, and here we can see that our new application with the name Web Application 8 has been created. So our MVC application structure is created. So if you have remember in my last video we discussed about the controllers, and in this video we will be discussing about the views, right? So so if you haven't watched my last video about controllers, so I will strongly recommend you please go and watch that video before proceeding this video, right? So let's start for the views, and let's create a new controller. So same step. So let's start. So let's create a new controller. So the same step, how to add a new controller. We'll click it on add, and we'll add this controller, and we will take empty MVC5 controller and click on add button, and take we can give meaningful name. So let's take home controller. So it will add the controller.cs file under the controller folder. So let's wait. Yeah, so we can see home controller is added under this controller folder, right? So this home controller, under this controller we have this action method, right? And and we can have multiple action methods in our controller, right? So now pay attention on this, that as soon as we create a new controller inside a controller folder, so with the same name, a folder is created inside a view folder. As we can see, home controller, and with the same name, home folder is created inside a view folder, right? So that means, so let's create one more controller, right, to make you more understand. So let's create one more controller, and now this time we are taking employee controller, right? So pay attention. As soon as we will click on the as we will click on this add button, the same with the same name, employee folder will be created inside the view folder. So let's see, I have created, and we can see employee controller is being added in the controller folder. Along with this, your employee folder is also created inside a view folder, right? As we can see. So let's go to the home controller, right? And before proceeding, I want to tell you that views are basically meant for the controllers, right? For every action method inside a controller, we can create and return a view, right? Let's suppose we are having 10 or 15 action method inside a controller. So for all those action method, we can create and return a view corresponding to each and every action method, right? So let's create. So let's create one more action method. And remember one thing, that for each and every action method, the default return type of action method is action result, right? And for this, we can give us name contact us page, right? S- So as of now, what we have done, we have simply created a new project, and we have added a controller. Right, and in the controller, with the corresponding to these controllers, the with the same name folders has been created in the views folder. Right, now we are going to create a view for both of these action method inside the home controller. Right, so let's create a view for the index action method. So how to add a view? What we can do, just simply go to the home folder inside the view folder to which we want to add a view, right? And right click on this folder, and we can click on add button, and we can click on this view. You can see here. Again, I'm repeating. Just right click on the home folder, then click on the add button, then click on the view button, right? It will ask you for the view name. So normally we take the same name whatever we have the name in the action method, right? So we'll take this same name which is having this action method name, right? So index, so we can take the index view. It's not mandatory that we have to take the same name as we are having in the action method, right? We can take any name, we can give any meaningful name. It's not mandatory, but I just want to make you understand. So that's why as of now we are taking the same name as we are having the same index action method, right? And we'll take the template empty without model, yes, and we will uncheck this checkbox because we are not using any masterpiece. So in the upcoming videos, I will be discussing in a very detail about layout page and about partial views. But as of now, please uncheck this checkbox as we are learning it from the scratch. So we have given a meaningful name index. So let's click on the add button. So now index, as we can see, index.cshtml page under inside the home folder, index.cshtml page. This view has been created inside this home folder. Right. So on this page, just remove this part. Just let's rid of it. Let's take a rid of it. So no need. In the upcoming videos, I will be discussing. So don't worry about that. Now we can see that this is a pure HTML which is in front of us, right? So we can write, so in the div block, let's write, take one header and we can write, hello, I'm home controller and index action method, right? Hello, I'm from home controller and index action method. That means inside a home controller, we have an index action method, and this index action method is returning the view, is basically is having the view, this index view. We can see in this structure also in the solution explorer. Inside a controller we have a home controller, and under home controller we have an index action method, and this index action method has created this view inside this home folder, that is index.cshtml, and we are displaying the message that hello, I'm from home controller and index action method, right? So let's save this file. Similarly, we can create other view for this action method, contact us method, right? You can see. So let's go to the solution explorer. We'll apply the same step. Go to the home folder inside a view and right click on the home and click on the add and click on the view button, right? And we can give the meaningful name. So action method name is contact us. So same name we will give for the this view also, contact us, right? And we will keep all these checkbox unchecked as of now, and let's click on it, and now we can see in contact us.cshtml file is also created for this action method contact us, right? So let's go to the contact us html page, just delete it, and in the div block we can write hello, I'm from home controller, but this time now contact us action method, right? Now save this file. Yeah. So till now what we have done, we have added a home controller. Along with the home controller, we created these two action methods, and for both of these action methods we have created a view. One is for index action method and other is for contact us action method, and that is inside the home folder. So that is index.cshtml and contactus.cshtml, right? So let's save this file and run this application, right? So let's save, and we can click on this green button, or either we can press F5 from the keyboard, right? Before running this application, let me tell you that as I already told you in my last videos, that the first request goes into the global.acx file in this file, where we have registered all the routing configuration information over here, right? And this file is present in the app start folder. We can see in the app start folder we have a route this file, right? And here our default routing is defined. That means if anything is not passed in the URL, by default it will call home controller and the index section method. So home controller and the index section method, and this index section method is is returning which view? This view, index.cshtml, right? So save this file and let's run it. Let's see the output. First of all, it will compile the application, and if it doesn't find any errors, then it will render in the browser as we can see, and it is loading. Yeah, so we can see by default it is displaying a message, hello, I am from home controller and index section method. That means from the home controller and the index section method, and for that means this index section method, and this index section method is returning which view? This is returning which view? This view, index.cshtml page. So that's where it is displaying the message same, right? So that was the default routing which is defined. And now let's suppose we want to call now this action method. We want to call this view with the help of this index action method. With the help of this action method, right? So let's go. We'll write home controller. Then which action method we need to call? Now this time we need to call contact us, right? So we will type contact us and press enter. Now see, it is giving the output. Hello, I am from home controller and contact us action method, right? Let me show you by placing the debugger point. So that will make you more clear. Now I'm pressing the enter. Now now we can see it is the control is going to the this under home controller, and under home controller it is going to contact us action method, because we have called the contact us action method, right? So let's debug and go next step and click on the F5. It is displaying. Now instead of contact us, if we are writing index, so it will go to the index action method. We can see, right? Yeah. So that is a very basic example for the view, that how we can create our views and how we can return views from our action methods. So as you can see, under this home controller we have created this index action method, and this index action method has created this index.cshtml, and for this contact us action method we have created contact us.cshtml file, and accordingly these action method are returning the views, corresponding views, right? So this is the very basic example, and now let's switch to the our slide. So what we have done till now, that we have added views using Solution Explorer, and one more thing I want to tell you, that I have told you how we can add a view with the help of Solution Explorer, with the help of this Solution Explorer, right? But we can also add a view with the help of this action method. How? Let me show you. So let's suppose under this home controller, let's create one more action method, right? And we name it this time, let's suppose about us, right? Right. Now Now we want to add a view for this action method, right? So simply by going to this home folder and clicking on this right button, and we can simply add this view from here. But now this time we want to add directly from the action method, right? What we can do in the entire region in this action method, in this whole entire region in this action method, we can click anywhere, right? And we can write and we can see option we are getting add view. So in this whole region, in this whole body of this action method, we can right click, and we will be getting the add view option. We will click on the add view, and it will generate a dialog box to add a view for this action method, right? And you can see that by default it is taking the action method name. So it is already taking action method name, so we will keep the same about us, and all the checkbox will we will keep the unchecked, right? So with the default settings we are proceeding and click on add button, and now it will add about us.cshtml under the home controller, under the home folder inside the view. We can see this, right? So let's rid of this, get rid of it. And now this is a pure HTML, and let's copy the message from here and write that I am a from home controller and about us, about us and action method, about us, about us action method, right? Let's save this file. Now close all these files, right? So just close all this file, and now just go to the solution explorer, and just to recap all the points what we have done till now. We have created this application, and accordingly we have created the controllers. First of all, we created a home controller, as we can see here, and this under this home controller we created three action method: index action method, contact us, and about us. And accordingly, corresponding to each and every action method, we created a view. So we go to the views folder. Under the view folder we are having home folder with the same name what we have created inside a controller, right? So under home folder we have created index, this one index, index for this home controller, for this index action method, and for this contact us we created this contact us.cshtml, and for this about us index action method we created this about us.cshtml page, right? So let's save and now run the application. By default it will call the home controller and the index action method if no routing is passed in the URL. So let's wait. Let's remove the breakpoint. We can see it is calling home controller and index action method. Now let's suppose I want to call this time about us, about us index, about us action method. See, it is calling I am from home controller and about us action method. Now this time it is calling the view of this action method about us. Remember one more thing, that it doesn't necessary, or it is not mandatory that if we have given, if we have defined the action method name over here capital and small, and if we are passing capital and small letter in the URL, it will work in both the cases, whether we are passing in a small letter or whether we are passing in the capital letter about the controller and the action method name. It will work in both the cases, so no need to worry about this. So our MVC application support this, right? And now one more thing I want to tell you, that that for each and every action method, for each and every action method, as I told you already, default return type of the action method is action result, right? So let's suppose if we are returning any view, so that we should always have a return type of that particular action method, action result, or either we can have view result, right? View result. Remember this thing. So if any action method is returning the view, if any action method is returning view, and then the return type of that action method should be action result or view result, right? View result is basically a child class of this action result. We can see that action result is a parent class or the base class for all these view result and all the child classes inside this, right? So let's save this file. So when we are supposed to return any view, so we can give the return type of that action method either view result or action result. But it is always recommendable that we should give the always action result because it is a base class for all these things. So it will always give you the view result, right? So let's see and now check whether this when we are changing the return type of this action method, whether it's going to give a correct output or not. Let's see. So we need to call under the home controller and the about us action method. So let's see. And now we are calling about us index action method. Yes, we can see hello, I'm from home controller and about us action method. That means that is working fine. So, so in future, whenever we are going to return any view for from any action method, we can give the return type of this action method either action result or view result, right? So now let's switch to the slides. So what we have done till now, so we have already added a view, how we can add a view, and I have told you that using action method also we can add a view, right? And the return type of action method should be action result or view result if we are returning view, right? Now calling a view from browser. So I have already shown to you how we can call controller name and action method name but not view. One more thing I want to tell you that browser cannot call directly view in MVC, right? Here in the URL we can see we always used to pass the domain name, then controller name, then action method, right? And under this action method, that depends on the decision of that action method, what it is going to perform, whether it is going to return a view, whether it is going to return a partial view, whether it's going to return a JSON, XML, or string, or any other output to the view, right? So it is so in the browser we cannot directly call view in the MVC. Every call must go through controller, as I already told you. Browser doesn't know it is calling view or something else. So it is the duty of the action method that what it is going to return, right? So the same thing it is written over here. It's a duty of action method that it is going to return view and accordingly browser display the content. And this is a way of calling. That's a way of we can see that's a way of calling this uh, a controller and action method name from the browser, right? Now, let's go to the next slide and we can understand about the structure of your view hierarchy, right? So how it basically works. So as of now in our application, what we have done, let's understand. So according to the structure, we know that view under view with the same name, whatever we created a controller, a view folder is created. As we can see, we created home controller and with the same name, home folder is created inside a view, right? And inside a view, right? And under each controller, we can have multiple action method. As we can see under each controller, we can have multiple action method like in this controller index, contact us, about us, and many more we can have according to our need. And each and every action method, you can see each and every action method can return view. You can see each and every action method can return view. Each and every action method can return view, right? This view is returning about us page, this view is returning about contact us page, and this view is returning index page, right? So accordingly, this structure is defined. Each and every action method can return view, and accordingly, this is the next controller. Under this controller, we can have multiple action methods, and each and every action method can return the corresponding views, right? And one more thing is there. We do have a shared folder, right? Uh, let's create a shared folder, and remember one thing. Let's create a new folder, and we need to give the same name, same spelling should be shared. And why, what is the meaning of the shared folder? That means it is common for all controller action methods, right? So when we are dealing with the partial views, right? In that case, it is most and widely used, the shared folder. So as of now, you understand that under shared folder, that means all the views which we are placing under the shared folder, that is common to all the controllers and the action methods, right? So let me show you. I have created the shared folder, and let's suppose I'm going to remove this about us .cs HTML page from home folder. So let's cut it and paste under the shared folder, right? So now what we have done, as you can see under the home controller, for about us index action method, for about us action method, it is going to return about us.html, but it is not present in the home folder now. Now it is present in the about us.html. So will the application work? Yes, it will definitely work, because whatever HTML we are going to place under the shared folder, that is shared among all the controllers and the action method, right? Or we can say it is common to all the controller and the action methods, to all the controllers and to all the action methods in every controller. So we have removed this HTML from home folder, and we have placed it there. So let's save, and now let's see. Now let's run the application, whether our application is running fine or not. So let's see. Right. So it is calling a default routing. So let's call home controller, and inside home controller we want to call about us index action method under home controller and the index action method under home controller and the about us. So the name should be, yes, we can see that hello, I'm home controller and about us action method. That means although we have kept this HTML file under the shared folder, but the MVC application, or we can say view engine, is able to find this this about us.cs HTML for this index action method, for this, right? Remember one thing, whatever we are placing the views in the shared folder, so whatever name we have given over here, the same name should match in the URL, as we can see, right? So about us, and it is calling about us action method, right? That means once again I'm repeating this point. Whatever views we are going to place under the shared folder, this is common to all the controllers and action method, right? And now let's suppose instead of about us, we are calling contact us page. We can see it is calling from home controller and the contact us action method. That means our application is working fine, right? Now let's understand how the view engine or MVC application comes to know that it has to go to this view or this HTML file. So how the application comes to know how basically it is searching, right? So for this, let's suppose we create one more action method, right? So let's suppose we create one more action method inside a home controller and we name it without view, right? And the return type we give it action result. Save this. And now for this action method, under this home controller, we have views for each and every action method, right? For this also we are having index view. For this also we are having contact us page. And for this about us, we are having this view under shared folder, right? Now for this action method, let's suppose we are not going to have any view, right? Right. And let's see whether it is going to search. This is I'm doing to show you how the view engine basically search any particular view. So let's run. Right. So it will compile the application and it is running in the and now it is rendering in the browser. And now this time we would be calling this action method. Controller name will be same, but this action method. Let's see. We haven't defined any view, so what error it will give, right? Yeah. So home controller and without view action method name, right? I'm pressing enter. Yes. So you can see our view engine uh, at at how many places it basically searching this particular view, right? But it didn't find any view with this name. So we can see that as of now, you pay attention on this point, right? Not on this point. I'll will tell you in a bit in a few minutes, right? So we can see that under first of all, it is going to search under views folder and it is going to search under view home and it is trying to find this without view.cshtml under home folder. Then under home folder, if it is not able to find, then it is going to the shared folder that is common to all controller and action method name, right? So first of all, it is going to the home folder inside the view folder, and if it is not able to find over here, then it is going to the shared folder, right? And if it is not able to find here, that means that's why it is giving this error message that its master was not found on or view engine supports the search locations, right? And these four basically when we were working with the MVC3 application or the earlier version of MVC3, in that case we were having the ASPX engine, right? So in that case, we used to have .aspx extension with the views. So when we are working with the ASPX engine, but in the later on with the MVC 5 version applications, we are having a Razor View engine. So that's why we are having these basically extension .cshtml, and the Razor View engine basically supports more features in comparison to ASPX. So that's why we are using Razor View Engine, right? So this is how the view engine basically search any particular view in your application, right? First of all, it will go to the under the views folder, and under the view folder, whatever whatever the controller it has to search with the same name, it will go to the home controller, and if it is finding in the home controller, then it will give you the output, and if it is not able to find the that particular view in this folder, then it will go to the shared folder, right? So this is the basically process how it can how the view engine basically find any view, right? So that was a very basic introduction about views. And now let's suppose we have already created this home controller and we have created one more controller, employee controller. Let's suppose we create one more action method inside employee controller, and now we are giving name for this. Let's suppose about us, right? And this action method, right? So we are having these two action methods. So we are supposed to add views for both of these action method, right? So first of all, go to this index action method under the employee controller. We can see under view we must have employee folder, yes, because as soon as we have created this employee controller with the same name, a folder will be created inside a view folder. Now under this employee controller for this index action method, we are going to add a view. So we will click anywhere in this body of this method, and let's click on add view. So index, we will go with the default setting. Somehow if any checkbox is checked, so please uncheck it and add. So now the index now the index view is being added in the employee folder, you can see. So remove this section, and over here we can write welcome to the, let's copy, and over here we can write hello, I am from employee controller this time, and index and index action method, right? Save this file. Similarly, we will go to the employee controller, and for the next action method corresponding to this action method, we are going to create. So for this action method, we are going to add a view. Either we can add a view from this action method directly, or either we can add it from here also. Go to the employee folder, and under the employee folder we can add a view here, and we can add a view from here, and we can give a name about us, right? So from here we can also add it, or either add it we can add it directly from the section method also, add a view, right? And I'm going to add this. Yes, so just remove all this section, delete, and copy. Now this time hello, I am from now employee controller, and this time about us section method, right? Let's save it and run the application. Now we are having a home controller action method, and to each action method we are having corresponding views, right? And similarly in the employee controller we are having action methods, and to each action methods we are having corresponding their views, right? So let's save it and run the application. Yes, so we can see it is calling a default routing. So let's now this time we would be calling now employee controller, and the employee controller we would be calling index action method, you can see. Yes, now employee controller and index action method, something is wrong. uh, Employee controller, employee, okay, employee controller, yeah, this is right. So it is calling hello, I'm from employee controller and index action method. So we can see under this employee controller, we are calling this index action method, and this index action method is returning this index.cshtml file here, and that's where it is displaying the message I am from employee controller and index action method. And let's suppose now we are supposed to call this about us index action method. So from employee controller we are calling this action method. We can see I am from employee controller and about us action method. And now if we are calling from home controller and about us, we can see that it is loading. So let's wait. Yeah, we can see hello, I'm from home controller and about us action method. Under the home, we are having contact us, we can see. I'm from home controller and contact as action method. So from home controller, this time we are calling home controller and contact as action method. And this action method is going to return which view? This view. Under the home, this view, contact us. Right? So that's why it is displaying this message. So that was all a very basic introduction about the views, how we can create controllers and with the help of controllers, how we can return views. So how we can return views with the help of controllers by using action method, right? So let's switch to the our slides. So we have already discussed about the structure of this view, right? So that was all about views. So so let's meet in the next video for the next topic. So in the upcoming videos, so we are going to discuss about models and all other stuffs. So stay tuned and please subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the notifications which I'm going to upload my video whenever I'm going to upload my video. So take care. Bye bye.